This is a Minnesota Geospatial Advisory Council's Emergency Preparedness Committee meeting of April 4th, 2024. As indicated earlier, I'm Steve Swayze, and I am the master of ceremonies for this afternoon. We've got a full agenda, and anybody that's ever attended our what we call our admin meeting really realizes it's more or less an update about all the stuff the committee has been up to, because the grunt work, the down in the weeds, making things happen, actually occurs with project teams, which we'll be reviewing today. Meeting housekeeping, roll calls being auto recorded. Meet and greet, which we normally do in person, doesn't make sense online. The recording's up and running. And with that, I'm gaveling the meeting to order. And first item of agenda is, in fact, the agenda itself, previously published. And as you can see here on screen, I am looking for someone that, if they do not have changes, deletions, or tweaks to the agenda, I'm looking for someone to motion that we approve the agenda as published.
So moved.
And do I have a second? Oh, come on, Stacy. I know you're out there. You can do it.
Hi, yes, I can second.
Okay, great. Is there anyone opposed? Going once, going twice, hearing nothing. The agenda as published is approved, and our meetings are published online on our YouTube site. So I now put before the group whether or not we can have a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting. Randy, can you help me out?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
I appreciate it, Todd. And with that, our business stuff is more or less behind us. We're moving on to updates, issues, and good efforts. So here's what we know. I figured it's time to drag out the South African filling station signs because they've got some wit and wisdom. So here we go. It's better to walk alone than with a crowd going in the wrong direction. Okay. For those of you that have heard me beat this drum before, I got to beat it again. All the meetings that you're going to hear about today, they're all posted on our events calendar, upcoming meetings and events. And you can find that online at MGAC, which stands for the Minnesota Geospatial Advisory Council, EPC.org, under the events calendar. And there is only one item of addition that I would like to point out, and that's the May 15th abstract submission deadline for anybody that would like to present at Minnesota GIS LAS conference. This is a great opportunity for us to get the message out in front of the rest of the geospatial community about all the good work that's going on. I'll be up there flapping my gums, so I hope you can join me. So please scribble it in, think about submitting an abstract, and make those people over at GIS LAS grin. People updates. Well, here we go. We're in deep trouble. Everybody's jumping off the ship. So we got a bunch of retirements. Yikes. Here goes Bob Besquez. He's leaving the city of St. Paul after 30 plus years on the 30th of April. His party to be determined. And as anybody that knows Bob knows, that he has been a long-standing member of the state GIS LAS community, open source fanatic, and has done a great amount of work that has been impactful, to include being one of the founding members of the effort that turned into the GeoMoose open source software that was used by hundreds of units of government around the world. Next up, Randy, you're going to have to click off to jump in with Randy Knippel's going to dance out the door on May 31st. And so I hear there's a party on Thursday, May 30th. What do you got to add to that, Randy?
There will be an event at the Western Service Center in the library conference room, I believe starting at about 2:30. Let me check. Starting at 1:30. And then I'll be following that with my own event at a to be determined location in the area. And I appreciate somebody coming and having a beer on me. So I feel so
All right.
inclined. The message for that will be coming out at some point. But it'd be really nice to see everybody.
We got it on our calendar already, Randy. Thank you.
Okay.
And then, big time trouble. Also, Barb's dashing out the door on June 30th. For those of you that don't know, she is the COO of Gopher State One Call, and she has been the primary driving force behind this thing that we call the Underground Utilities Mapping Project Team. As you can see here, she was awarded the Golden Shovel last year for all our efforts over at Gopher State One Call. That's the 811 call before you dig service. And so she's going to continue on promoting that effort, even though she's stepping down over at Gopher State One Call. Hopefully, I can keep her engaged and make good things happen. That takes us over to some other points of interest. Departing the Excavation Safety Alliance. Unfortunately, they ran into the headwinds of the combination of COVID and having booked hotel and convention spaces years in advance, and that has done them in. They're shutting down doors officially, I think, by the end of April. Some really great people over there. If you've got any interest in talking to folks that are passionate about working on safety-related issues, there's some great people over there, and I'd be more than happy to hook you up. Just shoot me an email, and we can take care of that. We also have a hero in our midst. The member spotlight from the Minnesota GIS LAS got turned on to Matt Goodman for the month of March, and he is at the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office, the EPC's representative to the National States Geographic Information Council Geospatial Preparedness Committee. So congratulations to Matt for being highlighted in that way. That leaves open for a moment while I come up for air. Is there anybody else that I missed or that we should point out?
Steve, I could just notice, or I could just just mention that with my retirement, one thing that I've been doing is attending the Metro Emergency Managers Association as a member for the last several years, and somebody is going to need to take my place as a GIS liaison. I had them create that position as a recognized liaison for Metro Emergency Managers. It's given me the opportunity in attending the meetings. They do updates from all of the various liaisons, and I was able to give updates on things like LiDAR, aerial photography, as well as various maps, as well as encouraging people to contact their county GIS managers if they have questions about GIS. So we'd be really good to have somebody else take my place as a MEMA member.
Thank you, Randy. That's a very important outreach effort. We're engaging with the emergency managers there, helping deliver the message that GIS is a force multiplier. So if this is something that sounds of interest to you, this is one way that you can effectively help the community and actually help the state by engaging emergency managers on a very important safety issue. So thank you, Randy, and please reach out to me if this is something of interest to you, or reach out to Randy. So thank you. Moving on to issues. If you have a gun, you can rob a bank, but if you have a bank, you can rob everyone. Okay, a little bit on the downbeat. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Two things. USNG app.org was deprecated off of the Google Play Store on March 31st. It kind of wandered into the Apple App Store, got trashed, and never really, because this thing that was originally created was never intended to live in one of these app stores. And when they got started, the thought got going that maybe it would be a good idea to use that to promote availability. So this is a good thing, actually, that is now off of those two platforms, because the usngapp.org now only exists as what's called a progressive web app. Basically, it lives on a page in your browser once it's accessed. So it's about making available something to you without having a bunch of fancy apps loaded on your phone. Just amounts to turn your cell phone location features on, type in usngapp.org, get a satellite lock, and you are on the U.S. national grid. So upcoming soon, the testing just got finished on the beta, and we'll be doing some updates and releasing that to overwrite whatever the usngapp.org is now showing. Some enhanced features are going to be available, like copy paste for text messaging. So that's coming next. Second item I wanted to point out is the Minnesota Geospatial Advisory Council's EPC priorities for 2024 in the category of emergency preparedness, emergency services, criminal justice. We all know that this underground utilities, or I should say, many of us are aware this underground utilities thing is a beast of its own. Randy's been honchoing this national grid markers material, or I should say grid materials, for an extended period of time, and that's got legs of its own also. But this first one up here, we've collectively decided as the EPC leadership that we're going to all collectively put our shoulder to the boulder on this issue, because it's a workflow for developing, sharing, and maintaining statewide publicly available authoritative geospatial data for primary critical infrastructure themes. So before anybody panics when I say the words critical infrastructure, I want to make sure we're all on the same wavelength that for this group, the term critical infrastructure means what I call the first two levels of 4 levels of critical infrastructure, and it's the information that exists in the public domain. Basic data, where are things located? That's been around for over 150 years. And then expanded data, capabilities at a location. And that largely will mirror exactly what the Highfield people have been doing for a long time. And roughly right now in the open data set, there's approximately 380 out of the 430 data sets are available. So this is a licensing issue, not a data issue about exposing something that terrorists are going to run around with. So why are we even interested in this? Well, here's the reason why. This is what the critical infrastructure data model currently looks like. If you go down the right side of this screen, here's what's going on. All these entities from federal agencies, and I've only just put some of them up here, down to commercial entities, are in fact running around and bypassing the state and going directly down to tribal, county, city, in some cases, emergency response organizations, and saying, hey, give me your data. Well, the problem with that is that approach negatively impacts the local workflows for all these folks. It creates multiple individual databases with different data and currency, and it creates numerous accuracy issues. You know, you've heard the complaint before, hey, why is this street not on my map on my GPS navigation? Well, here's one of the things that can cause that to happen. Response planning. You want everybody on the same sheet of music. So here's what we will be trying to help make happen. How about this instead? That we feed all of it to what this thing is. It's the Geospatial Information Office for the state. It's done one time. We build a way to keep it current so that all these folks just go to one place, and like a utility outlet in the wall, they plug into it, they get what they need, and they go away. Well, of course, this is going to take some work, and Stacy will talk about that in a minute or two. But this is the idea behind the overall 50,000 foot look of what we're going to be trying to do here. So there you go with that. So if you would like to roll your sleeves up and get involved in something like this, The next meeting is going to be Monday, April 15th at 1 p.m. I know you're doing your taxes, but this is more important, so you'd want to join on this. So there's Stacy's information. You can find it I'm going to be beating the drum about the calendar. You can find it on the calendar to include the link. Yeah, it's sloppy, but it works for us. And that's all over at our website. So there you go with that one. Okay, let's go look at some good efforts. What do you think? May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. I love that. All right, there we go. So after the hoodlums broke into the storage and stole the banner for emergency response language of location, and Share Geo ponied up $1,000 to get it replaced. Yeah, I didn't stretch out the banner, but it's back and it will be on the road, and some events I'll talk about here in a bit. But this is a plus for us. And why anybody would want the banner? Well, they didn't really want the banner. They wanted the case that the banner was in. So the banner ended up in the trash bin somewhere. Nice work. Volunteer of the Quarter Award Certificate. Well, there it is. It's finally where we need to have it. And lo and behold, there'll be a letter sent out with it if you are considered to be the volunteer of the quarter. The award and citation letter can be sent directly to you, or it can be mailed to your boss for formal presentation. I heard some shrill comments about being sent to somebody's boss, because don't do that, Steve. He doesn't know I'm participating in this. Okay, anyway, we can either send it directly to you or your boss. Okay. What did I forget? Other victories or defeats? Going once, going twice. Yes, I do come up for air. All right, here we go. Project team reports. So just as a refresher, the leadership team includes me, Steve Swayze, as the chair forever, Randy Knippel as the vice chair, Matt Goodman, Brian Huberty, Corey Richter, and Stacy Stark. So our next meeting for the leadership is on March 2nd at 1 p.m. If you'd like to come by and snoop around about what we're up to, by all means, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll give you the connection information. So there it is. Data, critical infrastructure assessment. And I think with that, Stacy, I'm gonna let you yap and I'm gonna shut up.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'm Stacy Stark, and I'm chairing this critical infrastructure work group that Steve already introduced a bit. And in the context of what he talked about, we are trying to piece apart some tasks that will help us move forward towards getting better statewide data sets in the themes of critical infrastructure. So right now we are working on that workflow. We're trying to identify, we have, for example, a few ways that we already work with counties where we can reach out as the University of Minnesota to collect this information. And we have then, through this work group, compiled that information and shared it through the Minnesota GeoCommons. We're trying to make sure that we can identify ways to work with counties that is sustainable. We want to look at which data sets there might be a value to proposing some data standards so that counties that are producing their own data can work within a structure that can be easily rolled up together. We're working on potentially considering some kind of policy or endorsement process with MnGeo in order to get data sets published on the GeoCommons that the geospatial community knows are the best available, and it's transparent how we've obtained that information and how it is shared. And then finally, a new initiative we're working on just in order to support all of these others is we're documenting federal and state required planning processes and reports that are dependent on statewide foundational data, and especially in this group, the critical infrastructure data. So for example, in my world, I work in hazard mitigation planning, and there are a lot of statewide data sets that we need in order to meet the requirements set out by FEMA for this report. And so in order to do that, there's a lot of coordination that happens, and just trying to work out what other plans that state agencies and others work on that require this kind of documentation that has statewide geospatial data involved. And I think that might give us some evidence to get some more support from MnGeo in a roundabout way. So that's kind of what we're working on. And please do let me know if you're interested in joining us. We meet every 6 weeks on Mondays at 1 o'clock. The next meeting is in a couple weeks on April 15th.
All right. Thank you
Thanks.
very much, Stacy. Appreciate it. Underground utilities mapping. That's, as I've indicated, Barb Cedarberg and myself. And that thing is as I've indicated, is a beast of its own. The pace over in that project team is brutal, and I don't use that term lightly. 55 meetings in the last 3 months to give you a sense of it. It's simultaneous development of both a product, which is this thing called Fusion View, and the project. How do you reach out to people? How do you get them engaged on this? So this thing, if you want to continue to have any sense of it, there's a whole collection of stuff over on over on the EPC's YouTube channel. But the highlights maybe for the in-state of where this thing's headed right now. The product development is expected to be finished by year end. That's the partner dependent. If we can't get enough partners to help us with testing on the interface to pull data into this thing, which will share a universal picture of underground utilities in the state, then that end date is going to get delayed. PHMSA, which is the Pipeline Hazardous and Material Safety Administration, will hold the IP rights to the released product. It will be in the public domain, and the current UMPT may continue on to operate to address other industry safety issues. That one's unknown for sure. We'll take a look at it as we get closer. So once again, you want to hear me flap my gums some more about this issue, go over to the YouTube channel, and you can find it there. Education, real quick drive-by on that. I'll do it for Corey. Are always available online. Some self-learning opportunities are there through the ICS courses. We just gave you the simple links to get there. Again, that's on our website. And after last month's wonderful presentation by Ace and Tina, we're taking a look at in our next leadership meeting what we can potentially do about maybe working towards a situation where we can pair up some volunteers with emergency managers in the outlying areas, so they've got access to have somebody help them with projects. And as I'm well aware, many of the outlying counties, for an emergency manager, they may be left with nothing more than going down and trying to ask the Soil and Water Conservation District for some help. So it'd be a wonderful thing if we can try to create some sort of a collaborative relationship there. We'll be talking about that at the leadership meeting. Outreach, as I indicated, here we come. The booth will be back out on the road June 11th at the Minnesota Sheriff's Summer Conference, September 16th through 19th at AMIM, October 2 through 4 at the GISLS, and April 14th through the 27th. Going to cruise down to Madison and shake some hands at the International Trail Summit. Response geospatial assistance. The Minnesota Vision's been tabled while we just simply don't have the manpower to work on this right now. And we're going to focus, as I indicated, on the data issue that Stacy just talked about. Takes us down to Randy. Got 2 minutes, sir.
Okay. I guess the major effort has been related to the U.S. National Grid Institute. The whole intent of this is to reach beyond just a Minnesota context. There are a number of individuals across the country that are also interested in promoting the use of the U.S. National Grid. And this is really about getting it beyond just a Steve Swayze or a Randy Knipple thing, giving it some legs to be able to stand on its own. Next slide. And so one of the things that's happened, I encourage you to check out the website. It's usngi.org. There's a lot of material there. And we're really looking at capturing the essence of what's been on usngcenter.org and making it the de facto resource for U.S. National Grid information. In that vein, one thing that we've done recently is obtain a social media intern who is going to help us with putting together a presence in things like Twitter and other social media outlets. We have had individuals that are participating in the USNGI that have done this on their own, and we'd like to make this more of a formal, really USNGI presence as opposed to those individual efforts. Next. And so our next meeting is Wednesday, April 24th. If you go to usngi.org, you can find the announcement for that meeting. All are welcome. We'd love to have you attend and really see what we're doing and spread the word. Let others know. As I said, this is a national context, and that's important. Did I miss anything, Steve?
No, that's good. Just point
Okay.
out, I would, that is one point of the collaboration in the previous slide. I think you'll note that's Florida State University. They're the ones that are footing the bill for the social media intern. So to reinforce Randy's point, this is becoming a national effort, and folks spread from California to Maine working on this.
Well,
So
and in that on that note, Steve, it's important to understand that while we have federal agencies, the USGS, FGDC, certainly FEMA, that have all endorsed the U.S. National Grid and embraced it to varying degrees, there isn't anybody else that is really taking the lead in promoting it and organizing efforts to continue to promote it. And so that's what this is really all about. It needs to be a grassroots effort, and that's what this is. So we invite you to participate.
thank you, Randy. Okay, that takes us down to old business, new business. Is there any old business? Going once, going twice, gone. Is there any new business? I know this group too well. Going once, going twice, gone. Takes us down to comments, announcements, other business, and we're going to adjourn. So, look at this. The women are taking over in the volunteer of the quarter realm. I'm thinking 1 to 3. Something's not fair here. But it's going to get even worse. Okay, so our volunteer of the quarter is Ramsey County Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt. Well, here's her citation, if I can read it with this thing on the screen here. Among her many significant achievements while serving on the Minnesota Geospatial Advisory Council for more than 20 years, in 2021, Ramsey County Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt arranged for the leadership of the EPC's Underground Utilities Mapping Project team to present on their efforts at a meeting of the state's Clean Water Council. Victoria then championed the subsequent development of a supportive policy statement by the Clean Water Council, as well as one by the Association of Minnesota Counties. In 2023, those policy statements proved critical to providing the Underground Utilities Mapping Project team with the visibility it needed to obtain over $200,000 in funding to develop geospatial technology, which will significantly improve safety conditions for all workers in the state's underground utility community. A truly exemplary member of Minnesota County government, Commissioner Reinhardt is the EPC's Volunteer of the Quarter for the first quarter of 2024. And if you know how to click the clap button on the Zoom function, I think we all deserve putting forward a round of applause for her. Thank you very much, Victoria. I don't know if you're on the call today, but her certificate, and the letter, as indicated earlier, will be going out. Okay, that takes us down to the next EPC meeting. Thursday, June 6th. We're moving it up because we want everybody to have a nice long break during the summer. So what would normally fall in July, we're going to do on June 6th, 2 p.m. Central. We'll be online. Topic to be determined. And I think that takes me down to looking for a motion to adjourn, unless there are any last minute comments. Going once, going twice. Do
I'll
I have a
move to
motion to
adjourn.
Second,
I'm asked, talking over the top one. I need a motion to adjourn.
I will move that we adjourn. This is Stacy.
I will second. This is Randy.
Is there anyone opposed? Hearing no one, we are now officially adjourned.